Well, hello. Welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. We have a pile of stuff today. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the new subscribers. We keep growing, and I thank all of you for spreading the word and sharing these videos and getting this out there, because we depend on that. We want to build a channel, and you all who are helping us with that are crucial. We want to get the information out to people who may not have it, who don't spend their time looking into the details of what's going on in their world, and then kind of stagger into a voting booth every couple of years and just kind of pull the handle for the person whose latest commercial they liked best. And the way that we are going to combat that is to try to get more truth out there and try to get some stuff in front of people who don't know. And I try to cover the stuff that you may not have seen, so that you'll have that arrow in your quiver to use when you're talking to some of those friends of yours who fall into that category, right? We have a lot here. I should say, by the way, and something interesting has happened. I monetized this. I decided to monetize the channel because YouTube was putting some commercials on here anyway, and I wasn't getting anything for it. And it was interesting. They were putting stuff like Stacey Abrams and things like that. So when the channel finally hit the point to where I could monetize, I did, because I thought, well, if they're going to make money off these videos, I'm going to get a percentage of it. However small that percentage is, and it is small. But so I decided, okay, for whatever money this channel makes, it's going to be used for a certain specific purpose. And so I did. Well, the interesting thing has happened in the last few is that when you put up a video and then you click on it, monetize it, they are always checking. They spend a lot of time checking my videos, and then, so it takes them a long time. They say, well, we found an issue in this, and it's just not something that we think we can allow on that, but we'll check. And then then they put it up with limited, I don't know how they put it, limited suitability or something like that for ads. And then there's a way that you can ask for a review, right? And so I do, because I don't just take it laying down. I said, review this, please. Get a human to review this, because I know the algorithm goes after, keywords and things like that. And to an extent, I'll understand that and I'll agree with it, but to another extent, I won't. And I know, who knows what game's being played. So then I'll ask for a review, and then they'll put up, they'll finally come about and say, oh yeah, it was fine. And that's like a day later, or, a long time later, and that's after most of the people who've watched have already watched it. And so, it's not monetized, right? So I'm going to be proactive, being the good capitalist that I am, because I know we're all good capitalists here. Nobody's here for something free, right? And I know you all don't mind sitting through a commercial. It's just like you did, do with any other TV program. Even Rush had commercials, right? Right, because when somebody sits down and they spend their time doing something, we don't think that it's wrong for them to be compensated for it, even if it serves the viewer's purpose and the person enjoys it. So I'm going to jump in here and do my own commercial and say that this is being brought to you. Today's episode is being brought to you by my book that I always say, The Reversion. My mother said it was the greatest book ever written in history. So if you like your mother, and if you like America, and if you like apple pie and, Truth, Justice, the American Way, you'll like this book. It's a book about the collapse of the world and the rebuilding of communities and societies according to the fundamental principles of how our country was founded. And you can get it. You can find it on Amazon in both paperback or Kindle, or there's a way down there. Look down there and you'll see how you can order it directly from me. Autographed copies, either way. Get it however you want. It's good. And this has a lot of, it's written as a novel, but it has preparedness information, survival information. It has history. It has government. I try to cover all of the aspects of how should a country come back from a collapse. And I think something just flew out of my head that I meant to say, but that I'm not a professional commercial maker, am I? So that's the book. It has 4 siblings that come after this. This is the first book in the Stonemont series. There are 4 others also available on Amazon. So if you like it and you want to buy it and you want to support the channel, and if you want a good book to read, there you have it. Okay, let's get started on today. For that one person that says, "Good grief, you talked for 5 minutes about nothing." Not necessarily, not at all. I visited with my friends who come to this channel, and just like I'm going to enjoy reading all of the comments later, I was just kind of sharing some of my thoughts with them. We'll start off with, it wasn't on my list, but I'm going to start with this. France stabbed us in the back again. That's nothing new. I'm going to get to these mass shooters, and I'm going to get to government idiocy and all sorts of things like that today. We've got a bunch on the list, so I have to talk kind of fast. And just as I was coming on here, I saw a headline. I didn't print it out. I didn't put it up here because it was kind of difficult. The way I arranged things, I couldn't get it up. But it says that France has busted us. France has come out and told everybody in the world that U.S. they termed it Special Forces Deltas, have been embedded in Ukraine for a long, long time. Okay, so I'm not putting out any information that isn't out there in the whole stinking world. Anybody who knows anything about anything knows what's going on, right? I have no idea whether they're using this term deltas properly or not. If it sounds like a newspaper person's use of the word, because that's not usually how it's referred to. I have many, many friends in the Special Forces community, and so that's why this just kind of popped up. It's interesting. I mean, when Biden said no boots on the ground, no American forces in Ukraine, anything like that, we all knew that was a lie. I mean, everybody knows it's a lie. We'd be stupid not to have people everywhere, and put it that way. You'd be surprised at some of the places we have people. And we still have a few apparently in the government or in the military who aren't stupid. So there you have it. So anyway, the whole point of that was France just broke down on us. But you know what? By doing so, they retained their position of the non-friend ally, right? Okay, let's get into this other stuff. The first here is, have you heard about social and emotional learning? This wasn't going to be my first one today, but I'm going to read you. Hopefully we'll get to it. If we don't, I'll keep it on the list for tomorrow. But if you thought that CRT was bad, critical race theory, wait until you read about or hear about social and emotional learning, SEL. Social and emotional learning is a skill development process through which we learn how to manage emotions, problem solve, and create positive relationships with others. Just as students, this is done in school, just as students learn how to multiply and divide, SEL skills can be learned. Yeah, they can. They're supposed to be taught by your parents. For those students who have parents, right? Which we understand now is not necessary at all, as long as they have a village, right? So, though it is important to understand, social and emotional learning does not impose a particular way of being. Instead, students are nurtured to connect with, embrace, and comprehend their own emotions. I didn't notice anywhere in there about controlling their emotions. Did you? That's usually what we were taught from parents, not villages or schools. Well, we have some stories here. If we have time to get back to that, I'm sure that it'll be interesting. But we have stories here that are about people who apparently learned to, how did they put this? They learned how to connect with, embrace, and comprehend their own emotions, not to control them, but to connect with, embrace, and comprehend them, so that they went out and they shot a bunch of people. So, this guy that we were talking about yesterday, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this dirtbag, they have identified this guy, as I said in last night's. I did a second one over on integrative preparedness, kind of a follow-up on all the things that didn't make sense to me, what came out in the initial reporting of, the subway shooter. But then, I'm an old dog. I know that the press never gets anything right in their first reporting, and things have a way of developing and presenting themselves. So we have the suspect, dirtbag, Frank James. He's been named, this story says he's been named as a person of interest. They have upgraded that to a suspect. So blah, 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 blah. None of that is important. Something was here important. And okay, so I am sorry. Hang on half a second. I think Okay. I'm sorry. There was a bunch of fluff in that article. I just wanted to double check. My whole point on this, I love this. The police spokesman, we still do not know the suspect's motivation. Okay. I'm going to put this up over. You want to look at this dirtbag. It's going to be up over on Patreon. I forgot to say, so many more people are joining us on Patreon. Thank you very much. First off, you support us, but we use the Patreon channel, to put a whole bunch of stuff up over there that we can't put on YouTube, okay? So there's links to other stories, there's pictures, there's memes, there's all sorts of things that you don't get on YouTube. If you want to be a part of that, and if you want to be to have a little more information about everything and support us, we appreciate it. It only costs $1. Go down to the Patreon link, come over and join us. But they don't know his motivation, but I'll tell you what he looks like. He looks like Jay-Z. A sleepy Jay-Z, but Jay-Z always looked sleepy to me, okay? Okay, so that's him. I'll be putting that up there. Now, interestingly enough, do you remember the Sacramento mass shooter? April 3rd, not that long ago. So we've had two in the space of 2 weeks on opposite coasts. That really feeds into the theories, doesn't it? Sacramento mass shooting suspect was paid thousands by the county weeks before the shooting. Well, what happened is apparently he was in the pokey. And the guards, I don't know, threw hot water on him or something. I don't remember. I'm not even going to get into it. This guy's name is Martin Smiley. Or Smiley Martin. They got his name backwards. Smiley Martin. I remember when this came out because Kelly was sitting on the couch across the street, across the room, and she says, "Guess what this guy's name is?" I said, "I don't know." I threw out some. Nope, his name is Smiley. Well, this Smiley guy, Smiley Martin, and I've got his picture here too. It'll be up over on the Patreon channel. Smiley Martin has a criminal history dating back to 2013, including his most recent sentencing in 2018 to 10 years in prison for domestic violence. Whoa, no. How could that be? He was sentenced in 2018 to 10 years in prison. So it's not 2028. He couldn't be out. He couldn't have done it, right? Yes, he's out. So he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for domestic violence and assault with great bodily harm. He was sentenced after he pushed his way into his girlfriend's home, punched her, dragged her from the residence by her hair, and whipped her with a belt. Boy, and if you could see a picture of Smiley, Smiley ain't smiling. Smiley, some of us are smiling that you're back inside. But I'm putting this up over on Patreon as well. So this guy, he was out, right? So Smiley Martin was arrested this month in connection to the mass shooting that left 6 dead and 12 others injured on April 3rd. His brother, DeAndre or something, I don't know, Dandrai, was the first suspect to be arrested in the case. So how many people did they smoke? 6 dead, 12 others injured. I would venture to guess that they may have been taught to, how did we say? Let me go back to this other one. How did we say? They were probably taught to connect with, embrace, and comprehend their own emotions. What do you think? Yeah, I know. Now, because of all this gun violence, and we know that, we know why it's happening, right? We know why it's happening. But it has kind of surprised me, the suspect profile. Because I'll be honest with you, I was expecting something very different. But hey, never let a crisis go to waste, right? Never let a crazy dirtbag go to waste. Now we have a story from Breitbart. Here's how we're going to solve the gun problem. They have geniuses up there. They just have geniuses, don't they? Oh, man. Okay, I can't talk about this one on here, but I'm going to put up over on Patreon. Do you all know Lizzo? What's her? Is that all her name? Is that her name? Climate Crusader Lizzo poses in a thong outfit while boarding a private jet. Now, I'll tell you what, the fact that she is boarding a private jet is not nearly as offensive as the picture. I'm going to put that up over there. And if you, no, I'm not even going to say anything. That would be hate speech. So I can't. Okay. Come join. Guys, we have such a good, I put up so much good stuff over there that I can't put up here. Please join me there. But now we have another genius from New York. MSNBC guest suggests NYPD could spy on gun shows in the wake of the New York City subway attack. Okay, genius, let's see. This guy's name says, this is a Breitbart article. It says, on Tuesday, MSNBC guest Naveed Jamali suggests that NYPD officers could spy on out-of-state gun shows in the wake of Tuesday morning subway attack in New York City. Okay, and then they go on, blah, 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 blah. So here's what Mediaite reported. Jamali suggested police NYPD officers could be sent to, and that sentence right there. So just police NYPD officers. You see, the PD in the NYPD stands for police department. So saying, NYPD, police NYPD officers, yeah, written by idiots for fools, could be sent to monitor out-of-state gun shows in the wake of the attack, he observed. His genius observed. Did the gun come from a gun show? Did it come from one person who habitually happens to have guns stolen from them? And why isn't that person being investigated? Why isn't that person being prosecuted? Why isn't the NYPD going and parking out in front of gun shows and starting to take license plates down of people coming down from New York to purchase guns out of state? He continued by suggesting guns were flowing into New York from other states and said the city should be proactive in disrupting that iron pipeline, going to the places where those guns are purchased, looking to prosecute people who are buying guns and then selling them that are using crimes. I'm sure they probably quoted him perfectly. That are using crimes in New York City. It's not just a gun user we have to go after. We have to go after the gun seller, a person who obviously is embracing and in touch with his emotions, but totally out of touch with reality or the Constitution. So naturally, he's a MSNBC contributor. Well, all right. Kind of in line with that last, there has finally, and much needed too, there has finally been a scientific survey identifying the common personality traits of complete a-holes. I know you've had your own opinion on this, right? I mean, you've known them, I've known them, right? But we weren't scientists, and even though I'm not a biologist, or an anatomist or a physiologist, I've always thought that I had a pretty good lock on what made an a-hole, But now we have the scientists telling us that we were right. So they say it's most likely to be a middle-aged man. Well, no, I've known plenty of them outside that particular box. Most likely to be a middle-aged man. The typical a-hole tends to be manipulative, aggressive, and struggles to control his anger. And they just don't really care about what others are thinking or how they are perceived by others. Does that describe anyone you know? How many people that you know does that describe? But, even though they don't really care about others or how they're perceived by others, and they're manipulative, aggressive, and they struggle to control their anger, I'm sure that they are connected with and embrace their emotions, right? Because they run on emotions. Okay, enough of that. In response to the idiots on the coast that were killing all those people, we now have good news in the self-protection and constitutional world, and this comes from the Daily Wire. It says that half of U.S. states now have constitutional carry laws as Governor Kemp signs the new law in Georgia. That's great news. That is great news. I'm happy to hear that. I'll go back, and I know there are some who say who have a problem with the idea that it's constitutional carry. I understand that argument, okay? And the argument being that the Constitution, gives the right. Well, the Constitution doesn't give rights. The Constitution, first off, the Constitution describes the limitation of government power, okay? And then also, along with the Bill of Rights, which many people disagreed with, they thought that certain rights needed to be further consecrated, as it were, right? Just in case there was any doubt about it. Matter of fact, I could read the Second Amendment to you right now. You know why? Because I always drink my coffee out of my Second Amendment cup. So in support of those people who disagree with the constitutional aspect, let me read: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does infringed mean? It means limited, right? We all know that. We agree with that. I'm not going to pick the bones over this because, as I say, there are some directions that we are going where it's good. I've said, I think, this over on integrated preparedness several times, that I think a lot of people might be surprised, even though I don't like any limitations to our right to bear arms. And you say, Steve, what do you mean? What limitations? I'll explain that in a moment. When I was still in law enforcement, believe it or not, there were only 3 states that you could get a concealed carry permit in. That's true. Now, that was back in the 70s and 80s. And there were only 3 states that you could get one in. And some of those you had to prove that you were a diamond dealer or, carried, bonds or something like that. And it was difficult. We have come a long way. What was that women's cigarette? We've come a long way, baby. Virginia Slims. Anybody remember those? We've come a long way. Now, we are not where we should be, because I don't think you should you shouldn't even have to say the Constitution. guarantees my right. But, if you can, good. That just means you don't have to go down to the sheriff's office. You don't have to pay the state, money to have your right. You don't have to take a class. You don't have to be fingerprinted. You don't have to be a criminal. You're treated like a criminal in order to be able to enjoy the constitutionally guaranteed rights that come from God. Did I cover everything there? I don't know. Maybe somebody will say, you missed one, here it is. Okay, feel free to do that as long as you're nice about it. What do I think the limits ought to be? I don't know that there should be any limits. Well, you can't believe that somebody should have a tank. Well, why not? Answer me that. Riddle me that, Batman. Why not? The purpose of the Second Amendment was to allow not just in case, like they say, not in case the deer rose up against you, but to allow a citizenry to put down oppression and rise up against and defend themselves against an oppressive government. Do you remember that's what the revolution was about? I know you do. Share that with your uninformed friends. And so this is, how are we doing on time? I better conclude this. I still had a few more stories, but I guess I used to wonder, how in the world does Rush, all these other guys, how do they fill up 3 hours? And now that I'm getting into this stuff, I wonder, how do they get it done in 3 hours? Because I could keep going on this stuff, but I limit myself to 30 minutes because that's what my phone limits me to. And I use my phone. I don't use a camera. Maybe when the channel grows a little bit like that, it's one of the things that I have targeted the money from the monetization to come in and put together a little bit better production value. Okay, but no, I don't think there should be any. The whole purpose. So it guaranteed the colonists or the citizens the right to possess firearms or weapons equal to what the government had at the time. Well, does that mean you think everybody should have a nuclear weapon? Well, I don't think everybody should have one, but if you're going to protect yourself against powers that be, where do you draw the line? Let me put it that way. Where do you draw the line? That'd be a good question to throw up. Not throw up, but throw out to everyone, right? Well, I'm sorry. We had some more. I'll just say this. Producer prices surged 11.2% in March on higher energy costs. Thanks, Uncle Joe. It's the highest in history, March to March, month to month after the year. Thank you very much. The Mexican truckers are blocking things down there, making all the food go to waste because they're upset about enhanced safety checks by Texas. Good, Texas, you're doing a lot of things the federal government should have done. Thank you, Texas. You're going to be back and be a republic someday, aren't you? Just like in my books. And we touched on SEL. We don't have time to do anything else. I'm sorry, but I will see you tomorrow. And until then, thank you for being here. Please share this with everybody that you know that you think's appropriate, those who would enjoy it and those you want to tick off. And make sure that you're subscribed. Give us a thumbs up if you would. People who know tell me that it helps. If you'd like to support us, please come over and join us over on Patreon. You'll get everything that we put up here and more, and I promise you'll be glad you did. And if you said you didn't get anything extra, then quit after $1. But you'll be happy. You'll get a lot extra. And if you'd like to support us by buying this or any of my books, the link is down there, and I would love to see that you got one. If you want them from Amazon, order from Amazon. You'll get them a lot faster if you get them from Amazon. It takes a while to get them from me because if I run out, then I got to order more. I got to get them in. I'm trying to stay on top of it. Then I sign them all, and then I take them to the mailbox and send them to you. So, if you want them by the end of the week, better do it through Amazon. But if you want my little scribble in it, send it to me, and I'm happy to do it. And I love hearing from my readers. I'll leave it at that. You all have a great day. Remember that America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it because the other options ain't that good, right? Okay. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.